Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Beyond the Summit Series EU number 2. We're going to be taking a look at London Conspiracy Dota 2 facing off against Yellow Submarine ! I'm Lyrical Dota, joined today by Mike Loris. Mike, are you excited about this game? I know I am.
I always love watching London Conspiracy play, always make things very interesting, whether they win or lose. Yellow Submarine has been quite a while, and you could see just taking a look at the players they have playing for them right now, they're not really at the best spot as far as their roster is concerned. So I'm hoping that they'll put up a good fight regardless, but London Conspiracy, I would say, probably the favorites to take this.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just going to, for a second, for everybody's benefit, going to bring on up the brackets in this whole tournament, because if you take a look across the board, I think London Conspiracy are a pretty good bet to go far in this tournament. They're probably one of the maybe flying under the radar teams, but still incredibly potent, good drafters. They put up a good show at the Shanghai Major qualifiers, also being able to make it through in that open qualifier spot, and then they're one of only two teams that actually took a game off of Liquid in that whole qualifiers, just based off of how well they're doing. And I checked out the game that they played against them. It was just solid, straight up Dota, good teamfight execution. This is a team that could go places, and Yellow Submarine may be hoping to be able to find some ground after they've not necessarily had the best showings in their last couple cups.
Yeah, for Yellow Submarine, though, they get a lone druid, and that's all well and good. But the bans, you got to ban what you got to ban, right? Like Death Prophet, the Earth Spirit, even post-nerf, which I think most people agree isn't really all that bad. But Vengeful Spirit OD, certainly a pretty powerful start for the LC side, and pretty much just like right in everyone's wheelhouse nowadays. But I would like to see Yellow Submarine just try to take the heat to London Conspiracy pretty much as fast as possible, really minimize the room for mistakes there. I feel like that'll probably be the safest way to get around the for the shifting roster, the fact they're going up against London Conspiracy in the first place, putting pressure and making London Conspiracy a little bit scared, especially towards that mid lane, seems to be the best way to really get to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is definitely a bit of an opening, possibly. And with the Lone Druid and the Vengeful Spirit, Outworld Devourer taken, Earth Spirit is also not going to be in the pool this time around, nor that Jennifer that we always love to see, who's just sort of constantly this fixture in Dota. I don't know if you got to catch too many of the games that were going on just previously, but we saw something that I think is going to be like more and more often. It's not just the sort of rat Dota that you normally see. Like there was a game in the last series where it felt like TPP were constantly able to win team fights, but they just could not push out the lanes ever. And they eventually they were winning every single team fight. It was like 14-42 or something, and then the team with 42 kills still ended up losing. And in this type of meta where push is so prevalent, I think that Lone Druid stands supreme in King and is kind of one of those heroes that can just completely and totally own a face.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's also why we see Death Prophet being first banned out. Chen, those are some of the best heroes at doing that. London Conspiracy don't really have anyone to the level of Lone Druid necessarily. Like OD, should he get a lot of farm, can definitely serve that battering ram role, but it kind of is no Shadow Fiend if you catch my drift. He doesn't really do it the best. But to that degree, the Nature's Prophet is also a pretty strong hero that we see teams kind of messing with. I don't think London Conspiracy is one of those teams. I don't recall seeing Kefka ever play that in the off lane, but those types of heroes that will give you that shove, so that once you win that team fight, you can actually take an objective. Because if you're not taking objectives, you're probably not winning the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there are a lot of different ways to deal with it. Obviously, the sort of more popular has been the Nature's Prophet. Whether or not you go for that sort of Ags Octarine build or not, it kind of doesn't matter, but it does feel like that's definitely at least an option. The other way that I've seen teams sometimes deal with the obstacle of breaking high ground is with like a Shadow Shaman in the support role, and then use sort of more of the off lane for the tempo controlling and team fighting through the Faceless Void, which is going to be banned out this time around, or obviously the Enchantress, another one that we've seen a lot in the US side of Dota 2, but I'm really curious which way they want to go with it, because it does feel like they already have a lot of teamfight damage coming out from the OD, as you mentioned there, and Vengeful Spirit set up with a great stun. I think I wouldn't mind seeing something a bit more like a, not necessarily puck in the off lane, because that's awful, but that style of play, the sort of being able to control a team fight through that.
Hey, don't call Puck awful.
Puck in the
I like
offlane
Puck
awful.
offlane. Okay, it's not the best. I'll give you that. Jalopy's Gyrocopter definitely. I feel like the hero that he plays the most. I'm not 100% on that, but it's definitely one of the heroes that Jalopy plays the most and is very comfortable for London Conspiracy to have here. Looking at the Yellow Submarine side, they do have the makings of a little bit of a pushing strategy. You're already with the Lone Druid, they would have a pretty good start. Get the Oracle for the sustain.
Mm.
And then the only question is how much do they actually want to go into it? Because Gyrocopter Vengeful Spirit is a difficult lane. Call Down is difficult to push into, as is the OD Ultimate. So Yellow Submarine are going to need some form of initiation, but they themselves, banning out the Batrider, and even then would have been up against Vengeful Spirit. Starting fights for Yellow Submarine is at a premium right now, because that's the only way that they actually put any push together. You can't really easily push into Flat Cannon, Call Down, and Sanity's Eclipse.
Yeah, no, definitely. It becomes really difficult to make that happen. And while Vengeful Spirit isn't the greatest at pushing out lanes, even that little bit of minus armor could help with it. And, I wonder now if maybe something along the lines of a Beastmaster for London Conspiracy might be the answer to what we're looking for here. It feels like that's the type of hero that could work really well and maybe solve a bit of those pushing concerns with the Inner Beast Aura giving you that bonus attack speed and making the towers fall that much more quickly. And for the side of Yellow Submarine, I don't know. I think that I've been taking a look at what they tend to run. Bane is something that they're sort of their most popular hero and pretty much everybody's most popular hero. But the thing that I'm really surprised about is that we didn't actually see an Invoker yet, and no Invoker has been banned out. But they're going to go for the Puck instead. All right.
Dire team pick.
I'll put $5 on offlane Puck.
That sounds good.
I won't. I won't do that. It's. I mean, not really the best situation versus the OD. Puck's control is definitely there. I would like to see Yellow Submarine now with this Puck kind of deviating away from the we're just going to push your towers type strategy. Grab someone who could actually rotate in and help out the Puck to actually kill out off the OD. Oracle is okay as a starting point, but having a Vengeful Spirit-esque hero as the Yellow Submarine 4th or 5th pick seems like, again, the best way to apply pressure to Baby Knight and therefore apply pressure to London Conspiracy as a whole.
Definitely. Ooh, and very interesting. We're going to be seeing Mr. Watermelon in the offlane role. This is a hero that's become a lot more popular, I think, since we've been seeing a decent chunk of him at MDL. I think that it's still always a situation where when you have these heroes with big team fight ultimates, being able to play around them becomes the new sort of metagame within an individual game, and you really have to get something. So it's all or nothing at this point, to a large extent for London Conspiracies, and they're obviously going to be able to fight when their ultimates are up, but until Gyrocopter gets a decent chunk of farm, they're really going to be relying on that OD for their right-click damage, and also maybe lacking a little bit of sort of single-targety type of lockdown outside of Vengeful Spirit. Weaver might have a heyday here.
Yeah, I really like the Weaver pick, specifically in response to this Tidehunter. There's a non-zero chance that London Conspiracy are going to put a couple more heroes into that offlane and give Kefka the safe lane as the Tidehunter. Matchups should be pretty clean there, but before the Weaver was picked up, that was a possibility. Now that the Weaver is actually here, London Conspiracy needs some really hard lockdown or some way of actually getting on top of the Weaver, because if the Weaver is going to go safe lane, Gyrocopter, Venge, they'll never really be able to kill the Weaver, especially a Weaver with an Oracle behind him. So this is really restricting what London Conspiracy can do with this lanes just with this Weaver pick. And, outside of that, Weaver, as you said, has to worry about Ravage, has to worry about a magic missile, but for the most part, there's not really much that's going to kill him, especially since, again, he has false promises behind him, as if time lapse wasn't obnoxious enough.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I feel like Rubik is a pretty great answer here, not only for the laning stage, but also just the D-push that you get from Fadebolt, the fact that you get that instant initiation and lockdown, and we're going to go back for the Lifestealer, man. Picks coming fast and furious. A last pick Lifestealer. This is a hero that has seen play a lot in that sort of just infesting the Ancients and being a bit of a butt. How do you feel about this hero in the current meta?
There are definitely situations where Lifestealer seems like it is the pick, and I'm not really sure if this is necessarily one of them. OD makes Lifestealer's life very difficult, since no matter who you're going for, that person can be bubbled, or Lifestealer can be bubbled himself. And if you use your open wounds and just gets immediately canceled like that, then the ability of this hero in particular to stick onto his targets significantly decrease, and then you're going to be awkwardly standing around not really doing much. That being said, Lifestealer with Puck, with Weaver, has many options of actually getting into those fights, and if you're able to get on top of Tidehunter, he's difficult to crack through, mostly because of that Anchor Smash, but this is the type of situation where Lifestealer is potentially able to really excel. So there's a lot of upside with this hero, but I mean, the downside is it's a lot. You have to ignore a lot of potential downside, and usually I'm not completely on board with this. And I'm not really sure if this is the game for him, but hey, you never know. When you have a life stealer with the ability to go into a Weaver or a Puck, things can always get pretty crazy. I'm a little bit more concerned about these lanes for Yellow Submarine because someone's going to be jungling here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be that life stealer, which could cause some trouble. And I'm actually not able to click on my mini map right now, which is going to make casting very interesting as well as camera work. Let me see if I can reconnect to fix that, because that actually can't be a thing. But man, yeah, I think the jungling lifestealer, again, it causes a lot of issues where, as you said, the laning stage with only the Oracle as the support, while Oracle's able to deal out a lot of damage. If they do start to play a little bit aggressive, maybe you see a couple levels on that Tide, whichever level whichever lane he's in, it could cause a lot of problems. And still not able to click on the mini map. Man, oh man. All right, well, we're going to do our best for the moment at least, and see if I can fix that out.
Okay, this will just be like a 1,000 MMR cast where no one actually looks at the mini map ever. That's what I would imagine 1K MMR is like. I don't know, but I would assume. But yeah, the another problem of having this lifestealer in the jungle this time is that London Conspiracy, they don't have terrible heroes to actually go and try to deal with them. Like Tidehunter can very easily go and look for where the lifestealer is jungling. Lifestealer should be keeping himself safe for the most part, but also has to worry about the Vengeful Spirit or Rubik. It is a long way to walk all the way up from top, where it seems like they're mostly going to try to protect their gyrocopter, get him off to a great start, as they should. But still, these are heroes that for London Conspiracy are more than okay. Just leave the lane for a couple of minutes and roam really heavily. So Lifestealer may or may not be prepared to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, I am sorry again, ladies and gentlemen, having a bit of issues. We're going to bring them back and do our very best again. So yeah, so far as we're looking at this, it does look like it's going to be a lone druid in the off lane, facing off against as they're going to maybe try and go for this bear kill. They're expending a lot to be able to pick up this kill, and it doesn't look like for the moment they're going to be able to make it happen. A little bit of a pause coming out on the side of Puck. And unfortunately, things seem to be going wrong for not just myself, which gives me a little bit of hope. Tell me a little bit about the matchup between the OD here with the Puck. What are your thoughts on this lineup here?
It's a lot easier for Baby Knight because there's more than likely going to be no one actually ganking him. And what I said before, Yellow Submarine would have loved to have a Vengeful Spirit-esque hero to rotate in on this OD, try to get Jet at all a little bit of an advantage. Because other than that OD, especially with his starting build of double Fairy Fire Null Talisman, Puck is no slouch in his right-click department either, but OD, I would expect, like, just having this 5 armor, is going to be able to trade hits pretty easily. And once this Arcane Orb comes up, then Puck really isn't going to stand that much of a chance. Of course, it's not going to really come up until a little bit later, but Jet's going to be in for a rough spot right now. Phase Shift versus OD, kind of mediocre. It'll block some right-clicks, but that's about it.
Well, and of course, the big problem with that as well is that every right click that you don't end up blocking with phase shift, and you can't block them all, is going to sap away the damage, make it that much more difficult to last hit in lane. And oh my goodness, you guys, we did it! Troubleshooting in full effect. We're going to be able to see it and not even miss the first kill. Okay, never mind. It's not going to happen anyways. Kefka walks away. Mr. Tidehunter will not be taken this day, as the Oracle and the Weaver were not enough to bring him down. And I don't think that they're really going to be able to kill him with the jungling lifestealer there. He can just walk away.
Yeah, really, Kefka doesn't have that much to fear. Like, Fortune's End is situationally very useful up against a Tidehunter with a Weaver. It's not really going to be the best tool in the world. They really do need a third hero here, and I don't think Lifestealer is ever really going to do that. He does have the open wounds, but again, he walks in, tries to get some damage from the Tidehunter, he gets anchor smashed, and things don't really go very well for the Lifestealer. He doesn't die or anything like that, but it's probably just not worth his time to leave the jungle to try to go for that. Kefka will also potentially, regardless of how much pressure he takes, start looking towards these Ancients and the local bottom lane jungle camp. Is Blue actually stacking for London Conspiracy? What a good guy.
Exactly. He's a pal. I think it's probably so that he has his pick of the litter as far as which creeps he wants to take in a little bit. So that's the one little nice part about this, is that you are going to be able to make it happen, as the mid lane Baby Knight is going to get chased down a little bit. I don't know if Jet's going to be able to get it. Yeah, he does just walk away. Realizing that the DD'd up Rubik was going to be there, he wasn't going to be able to find a kill, and bottom lane, we just continue to see Kefka get chased around here. So, the one thing I will say about the side of Yellow Submarine with the jungling Lifestealer is that London Conspiracy don't have the best team to try and punish this either. So they're still getting farm on their Lone Druid in the top lane. They're still getting the farm on the Weaver in the bottom lane. I don't think that Kefka's really going to be able to kill the Weaver. So all in all, it's not the worst. It's just going to be what they do with the farm that they get, which is going to sort of determine how this goes.
Yeah, this is like pretty classic pub stuff where you just have one jungler and you hope that the jungler is going to be able to do something. And it does seem like, at least given the pace of this game, that Fee is more than likely just going to have an absolute free jungle. And once you do grab that Infest, having a couple more options in the Ancients, maybe that's worth it. Of course, London Conspiracy, they have a Jarrow, they have a Tidehunter. They can clear off these Ancients, so maybe that wasn't necessarily the correct move here from Fee, but either way, for London Conspiracy, CS looking pretty decent, Yellow Submarine pretty much exactly the same, so we're pretty much tied up, except, Nicaril, the Lone Druid, has yet to actually kill anything, so pretty sad times here for the Lone Druid.
Yeah, he would love to be able to make that happen. Unfortunately, not always going to be the case as we just continue to see the last hit wars across the lanes. It doesn't really feel like there is going to be a kill potential without a rotation, and all eyes are going to be probably on the Rubik. I think that he's going to be the one to do it, but again, Puck is such a squirrely hero that they don't really have a great way to make it happen, as the bear is going to pull the creep wave all the way back around and bring it to his awaiting master on the other side of the river. So nice of him.
They're going to try to kill it. The Loppy's coming in. Gets resummoned.
Wow.
No, I guess resummoned.
Huh. I mean, whatever works, that actually is going to mean that the creep wave is going to head back over to the other side, and he's going to be a little bit hard-pressed to move too far forward. But I do really like the build in general, where he's just sort of, consistently keeping a little bit of harassment out there. I'd love him to try and get a little bit more experience, but all in all, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Oh, they're going for the bear again.
Might be able to get something.
They've layered the Magic Missile and Lift, and they're only level 1 each, so not going to happen just yet. But if they do, man, this Lone Druid's so much sadder. Kefka is in a little trouble down towards bottom lane. Lots of damage coming in for the bugs in the Shikuchi, although the Purifying Flame's kind of helping more than it's hurting.
Yeah, in the end, it's always going to end up healing up more than you do. But the thing that's nice about it is if they're able to get the full combo off, I mean, Oracle actually 2 points in Fortune's End. I'm not sure about that one. You're able to get the lower cooldown on it, which is great and all, but the damage from Purifying Flames just scales so well, 90 per level. Maybe it's just to make sure that he always has that up so he can keep the harassment going. I guess it's okay. What are your thoughts on the sort of skill build here from the Oracle?
Not a huge fan of it, although I don't really think in this particular lane setup it's really going to matter all that much.
Yeah.
You got to remember the heal also increases, so if you're not going to get the kill, then you're probably helping the Tidehunter a little bit more than you're hurting him. So this is a little bit more of a direct route from the Oracle. Trying to think if there's any mid lane actually. They got the Puck in the bubble. I'm not sure if they can kill him. They don't have an Eclipse.
Ooh, the lift happens from afar. Does get the silence off, so no Arcane Orbs, but the Dream Coil is going to also break. Baby Knight taking a little bit of damage. Now the Lifestealer is rotated in, is going to be able to get the open wounds off on Biver. The Rubik is going to go down. Maybe going to be able to find Baby Knight on the second part. Can they catch him? The turnaround does get the Astral Imprisonment, and with that and a Bounty Rune, Baby Knight should be able to walk away from there. So first blood going Yellow Submarines with the Jungle Lifestealer rotation.
Being able to land a level 1 open wounds, it's pretty difficult. The range is absolute garbage. But hey, I mean, if you can get it, then you can get it. That was also, I guess, London Conspiracy being a little bit surprised that the lift actually went off.
Right.
It was, right at the edge of the range. They're like, oh shit, we actually got the lift. Let's try to kill him now. And you walk right into a coil like that. Baby Knight sticks around in the coil range and then snaps it at the very end while trying to escape. That was not exactly a clean gank there from London Conspiracy, but I don't think that should be them trying to stop. OD, now level 7, is hitting that much harder, and here's round 2. Puck, he does have the Arcane Rune, though, so he's a little bit more escapable here. Lifted up, the Orb's doing a hell of a lot of damage. He's going to try to Orb back towards the jungle. He's A-okay.
There was also... I don't know if it would have mattered, but the Rubik throwing him back actually brought it out of range where I felt like OD might have been able to get one more auto attack off. But regardless, It's just been a little bit of clunky ganks across the board. I don't know if it necessarily matters a ton. Obviously, a second solo kill or a second rotation and kill on the puck would be huge. But he's still getting good CS regardless, and it does hurt him having to go back to base. Would have been able to, nice to get that one. Taking a look at net worth, though, Gyrocopter's still up at the top with the OD right behind him. The big thing, though, is that in this offlane, the Lone Druid is getting so much more than the Tidehunter, and it does really feel like if Tidehunter wants to have an influence, he's going to need to pick up a Blink Dagger pretty quickly. And interestingly, he ended up going for Tranquil Boots.
Oh, top lane, actually they're going to jump the bear for the up-team time, and actually get it this time. However, at the cost of Jalopy, he's trying to TP. That's not going to happen. Now Beaver also super wounded. More right click's going to try for a TP of his own. I don't think they have any more cancellations, but they have flames. They'll get him that way. It's 2 kills in exchange for the bear. It's expensive for London Conspiracy, and now they actually have to deal with a dragon also, because the Lifestealer is all up in the dire jungle flying around. This is actually a pretty dangerous position for London Conspiracy. They don't really have any great answers to deal with a giant dragon.
Yeah, and he's going to be picking up a Radiance pretty soon, keeping the pressure on with it. That's just something that could be a bit of an issue for them. And oh my goodness, there's a huge stack here too. I think this one's a triple, going to be taken very swiftly. Oh man, that is frustrating, because that's the gold that you needed to get for your Tidehunter. He really wanted that to be able to accelerate his farm, and you know, considering that he doesn't have his arcane boots right now, he ended up going for the Tranquils instead. It's going to help keep him in lane longer, but really that relies upon him being able to get an acceleration of gold later, because he can't do as much without having the mana to cast, you know, Ravage and a couple of Anchor Smashes, Gushes in a fight. It's going to be a difficult game right now, I think, for Mr. Tidehunter.
It's going to be a difficult game for London Conspiracy in general, since again, there's dragons flying around, just stole a gigantic stack, which is so much more gold than you would ordinarily get from having possessed a creep as Lifestealer. Like, usually you're the one clearing the jungle, and there's no stacks available because, you know, they're for someone else in your team or something like that. So jacking someone else's stacks with, well, it turns out a really effective way of clearing with that Fireball is a lot better. And Baby Knight in a lot of trouble again, over towards mid lane. He will bubble Puck, I think, but already just getting burned down by the Oracle. Level 3 Purifying Flames plus the coil there. It's a lot of damage for an OD to have to deal with.
You know, I was saying that I didn't really love the skill build by the Oracle, but I think a large part of the reason for it is we do see Artis try and jump on Kefka here. I don't think he's going to be able to find a kill. Is that he wanted to get that lowered cooldown so that way he could sort of stack up the damage consistently on the Tide, and then he went back for the Purifying Flame. So I feel like the skill build was a really good reaction to the lane that he was faced with, and ended up working really well. So I'll take back whatever little bits of criticism I had before. These guys know what they're doing when it comes to Dota, as Puck pushes out the lane again.
It's a really small adaptation, but it's one of those min-max things that I don't think ended up like giving them a decisive lead versus the Tidehunter. Like, that really didn't make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of the game. But man, if you can min-max like that and not get punished for having a perhaps not the ideal build, at least not one that you would really like to have at the time, then all the more power to you. And right now he's at a pretty normal Oracle build, so you know, it didn't really hurt him at all in the end.
Absolutely.
It's going to hurt Baby Knight, though. Again, going to get Fortune's End, this time with a dragon coming in. He's going to lift up Jet into the tower, but he has the defensive power. Even swapped back, he's not going to die here, I don't think. He's just going to walk away.
Too much heals. Oh my goodness, he actually ended up going down. Not enough heals coming out from the Oracle, and he had a couple more Purifying Flames. Uses it to pop the Vengeful Spirit there. So normally you don't expect that to be enough, but just a few nice place stuns, the swap back, able to get the kill there. But I still think that's definitely worth it for Yellow Submarine. I mean, you ended up taking out the OD and the Venge just for the Puck. Even though they're ahead, it's still worth it to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Achilles heel of London Conspiracy is typically if you sit on Baby Knight and don't let him get out of control farm really quickly, then usually the team as a whole is going to suffer. And you know, we've seen them come back from it a couple of times. They did that versus, I believe it was Navi yesterday, where Baby Knight had just an abysmal time, but the team rallied and they were able to come back from it. This is still an OD with an okay amount of farm, like he's not completely out of it just yet, but dying a couple of times, going for couple of failed ganks, it not really is the cleanest thing. And well, they're going to smoke up right behind the OD, trying to actually get Baby Knight back into it, or maybe going to try to crack into the power of an early game Gyrocopter as they set up for a gank on the dragon and the bear.
Yeah, very smart here, not taking that rune. Ooh, he thought about it for a moment, but there's a ward right in the area where they would have been able to spot that out. So they might end up going for this as the puck rotates in for the regen rune. They don't quite go for him yet. The lift swap back is going to be able to get that one. They do have Ravage. They're going to end up popping it, but the False Promise is going to keep him alive for the moment. They do end up negating all of the magical damage that comes in on the puck also. He's going to be able to survive through that. Phase shift away. The turnaround is real. He is going to die, but not after getting off his full kit. Meanwhile, the Lifestealer infests the big dragon. He's going to be walking over this way a second time. Do we get enough damage? Baby Knight from the low ground is able to kill off the Oracle, and now chasing again onto the Rubik. Do they have enough, though?
The girl's trying to erase Baby Knight. That's not a good idea. Baby Knight has stolen a hell of a lot of int, and RT's actually walking into sentry range. Gets Magic Missile, but they don't have any more detection. Now he's going to try to turn around, go for Stolen. The Thunderhide is going to work here. Lifestealer is in the middle of this fight. Will pop out, trying to go for the OD. Will try instead to go to Kefka, but loses all of his damage to the Anchor Smash. And now Baby Knight is once again out of the bubble, and he has no more mana, I think. He's going to fall, and Beaver and Kefka also might each take a fall. They're going to walk right under him, at least the Rubik will. But there's a puck back from the dead, and oh, he's going to steal Shikuchi! There's a sentry. They're ready for it.
Man, what a freaking team fight right there. It was even before the Rubik kill, and then afterwards able to turn it a little bit more into the favor of Yellow Submarine. Several really solid engagements there. I think the Oracle saving the puck at that last second as the cooldown is going to come through again. That to me was the thing that really allowed them to turn that fight, because if Puck doesn't get off his whole kit there, it really goes significantly worse. And maybe if OD didn't end up finding the Oracle at the end with the Sanity's Eclipse, they might have been able to make it happen. Regardless, though, really good execution and continuing to build on this lead right now. Yellow Submarine 5,000 gold ahead, roughly about 4,000 experience, and I think a lot of this comes off the back of this Lifestealer, who's now been able to move up into the second highest farmed hero in the game, almost as Radiance.
He ended that fight with like 4,500 gold. It was not a pretty sight if you're a London Conspiracy fan. But also that Lifestealer's participation in that fight. He started that fight off in a dragon, popped out, grabbed himself a giant lizard, and in those type of fights where the weakness of those ancients is that they're really not able to chase very well, like that entire weakness was mitigated because London Conspiracy weren't moving around that much. They were just sitting there getting constantly wailed upon by that lizard, and again, they don't really have any great way of actually killing off any of these ancients, as another golem is going to come in. Probably not going to try to go for Kefka, but how the hell do you kill off a 1,900 HP unit and then a 2,700 HP unit right next to him? There's so much bulk here, and London Conspiracy, they just need Baby Knight to get so many right clicks off if he's going to have a chance of killing these, but you can't do that versus the Ancient Granite Golem.
Absolutely, and just so difficult to go against it. There's a ton of match community here. They're actually going to be able to finish him off, though. Needs to walk away from that one. Rages up. There's going to be the Dream Coil on to 3. They're going to snap it afterwards. Kind of a cool little interaction there, even though the bear does end up going down. They use the Dream Coil and then the Savage Roar to make it snap the coil, which immediately goes into that stun. Nice little interactions, and while we are having the pressure in the mid lane, at the same time, Artez is over in the bottom lane, taking down the tier 1 tower there. So, pretty good across the board. I like the synergy that we're seeing here out of Yellow Submarine, and it feels like maybe London Conspiracy caught a little bit on their back foot. As the dust does come out, needs to walk away from this one, lest he get killed off. Artez Magic Missile, or rather, Homing Missile is chasing him. They still have Ravage, they're ready to fight.
And Shikuchi is stolen by the Rubik, which is one of the best skills that you could actually grab as Rubik. It's kind of hard to not get something different from a Weaver, but Shikuchi just as initiation, like, it is so great to get in and out of those fights. And if you could just Shikuchi into someone, you don't even have to touch him, just get close enough to telekinesis. That may just win you a fight if you're London Conspiracy, because no one else really at this point is ready to do that. Kefka is going to go straight for mech, which I think is the correct build for Tidehunters in general. Oh, if he's going to walk right into Baby Knight, gets 2-shot. Feels bad.
That happened so freaking quickly right there. The haste rune up on OD, and suddenly nobody is safe across the map. 1,000 gold swing off of that one kill, and now OD is person in second in net worth. And you know, I think, again, it's going to be very difficult for London Conspiracy the rest of this game. How do you come back at this stage? They have to get a huge game either out of this Vengeful Spirit or the Rubik, as we do see Kefka get chased down a little bit by the Weaver, but that's going to be the lift, bringing him on up. They're going to be able to drop the hammer down on top of him. Instant kill there, as Baby Knight, despite his rough start in the early game, is really coming back with a force here.
That's some Shikuchi value from the Rubik, being able to join in that fight downriver from the mid lane. And now he's going to dive forward looking for more. Doesn't have telekinesis just yet, but if he sees this Oracle, and he does, I think Oracle is just completely screwed here because he's completely surrounded.
Oh, man. That really hurts. And they need him in these fights. Like, this is the plus side of London Conspiracy's draft, is as soon as you get to level 6, the Astral Imprisonment, by the way, is going to be up on the bear. They're going to be able to finish him off in just a couple of seconds here. No real surprise there. We do have the jump forward. They're Lifestealers in the midst of all of them. Do they end up popping out the Ravage? It's already ended up getting used, and now Jet might end up getting the turnaround. Does he fall? He is going to be able to phase shift, but it's not all for nothing. He's going to end up going down. Weaver is back in the middle of all of it, going after Soul, and a couple more right clicks is going to be able to finish him off. The Magic Missile does pop in the end, but Jalopy is going to fall. So a couple turnarounds as Kefka's going to go down with the Radiance burn, and it looked like there was a couple of misses there. Otherwise, it might have been able to make it happen. Denies himself to neutrals, but you know what? That's fine, as they are going to chase again after Rubik, but Sakuchi's abound. They're not going to be able to find each other.
So I think Lifestealer just died to the splash damage from the big dragon. I'm not sure. There's a possibility that was the case, but a couple things where it was going on there for that fight. First of all, London Conspiracy, they previously dumped everything they had to kill off that Weaver in that little bit of a squabble downriver. So they didn't have the Eclipse, they didn't have the Ravage, and getting into a team fight without those big assets, you're kind of asking for trouble, especially when Weaver is back by that point. So London Conspiracy already not starting things off in the best position. They do kill off the Lone Druid's bear. He does have another one that's walking around with him, so he's not completely out of it, but that happened. They had no answer to deal with the Weaver. We did also, though, see Kefka going up against the Lifestealer. Having gone for this Radiance build, Lifestealer, whether or not he's in a creep, is not able to really deal with a Tidehunter successfully, since the Anchor Smash and the Kraken Shell and the Mech means that when both those two heroes are hitting each other, neither one really does anything. So if the Tidehunter can keep Anchor Smashing like that and getting on top of the Lifestealer, then they're going to be in aces, but they're going to jump in for Baby Knight. One too many heroes here, the 4v1, hard to recover from that.
Absolutely, and now they're going to be able to come kill off the little stacking creep and think about going for this Ancient stack. It's a big one. It's going to be a little bit difficult for them to actually finish it off, but it looks like they're going to go for it. Sakuchiing on in. We do have another Infest, not for 40 seconds, so it's going to be difficult as Weaver also picks up the mech. But the Swarm really makes this a lot easier, and this is a huge economic loss for them. They do end up taking out the Courier, and that they realize that they're taking the stack, I would assume. Huh.
They see them with the Observer Ward. They know exactly what's going on. They know their Lifestealer is near death. They have a Ravage also. Yellow Submarine have to get the hell out of here. They're going to silence Kefka. He's still going to find a couple of angles on a couple of heroes. Not going to use his Ravage just yet. Jet is going to get gushed down. He drops the orb beforehand, however. They have enough heroes here to control the Weaver, although with the coil, he's going to get out of there. Amba is going to run away from Jalopy. Swapped out of it, though. And this Oracle actually is going to get swapped right into safety? Is that right? Are they just both going to walk out of there? It seems like that's the case. Arteez is still running around, but he doesn't quite have enough damage yet. Once this hero Weaver picks up like a Desolator or an MKB, then London Conspiracy are going to be in for such a more painful team fight.
Yeah, definitely. He's now in a place where it's going to be so hard to kill him off, and not only that, the damage is going to start to ramp up. The big thing that I'm curious about here is it looks like Lone Druid, I was wondering if Lone Druid was going to end up going for Radiance himself, and it looks like instead they're going to be going for Maelstrom. So Lightning and Fire is going to be shooting off across the map. Considering that Lifestealer already has the Radiance, what do you go for now for the Lone Druid? You end up going for a bit more team fight, a bit more wave push yourself. I kind of like this build now. The only issue, of course, is going to be that you can't keep the waves pushed out on your lonesome as the bear until you end up getting something like an Agnum Scepter, which probably isn't going to be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the Maelstrom on the bear never is a bad item to have, it's just not Radiance. And I'm pretty sure at this point Yellow Submarine would love to swap that up, give Lifestealer someone else, even though, Radiance Lifestealer sure is cute, it's not quite Lone Druid's Radiance. He's still, though, going to be rolling in the dough, like Maelstrom does that almost as well as the Radiance. So Nicoril going for a little bit more of a beatdown build. The damage coming out from the Spirit Bear is potentially going to be underestimated by the London Conspiracy side, but LC, after that little bit of squabble there, going to walk into Roche, clean it up, double life for Baby Knight, take a tower, and gain a hell of a lot of gold just in the past minute.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely starting to turn this back around for themselves, and I think it's largely just that the laning stage was supposed to be this part where Heal Submarine might end up having trouble, and they didn't get punished too heavily for it. So then when you got to the mid game, all of a sudden you have a core, essentially an extra one that's going to be able to do all that more for you in the team fight. So I kind of like the idea now of with the big ultimates online, London Conspiracy taking the fights that they want around those ultis, and then when it's not, pushing the towers and trying to do whatever they can as the TPs are going to start to come back. And I'm not sure if it looks like they're thinking about fighting this one. They do have the TP with the Ravage on in if they want to make that happen.
Oh, but they have to deal with Fee first. He's going to pop right out onto Jalopy. Swap is going to keep him completely safe. Beaver, by the way, is Puck right now, and he's going to jump right in. Has an orb. They count Fee right now. There's no one to invest into. Ravage is going to get the kill, but that's only a one-man Ravage. Now Baby Knight pops his BKB. I don't know if that's going to be enough. He's not that healthy. He's going to drop an Eclipse onto a couple of heroes, and they're just going to start charging in towards Amba. Nickrill is going to deploy the Bear again, using that combo of Savage Roar to snap the coil. Is he going to get out of there? No, the missile actually connects on him, and Nickrill is going to get buzzed down by the rockets. He just now popped. So far, 3-0. London Conspiracy have Beaver still on the chase. He's got an orb, and Artees is going to give him Shikuchi. So maybe the chase is on? Probably not.
Oh, he went the wrong way. There was also a moment there. I think that he thought that the Lincoln's was already popped or something like that, so he used Telekinesis first and then went back for the Fade Bolt. Or maybe he thought that he had enough damage to burst him, but regardless, did not have that extra little bit of lockdown there. But still, 3,000 gold swing into their favor and only losing the Aegis on it. Another great team fight here for London Conspiracy, bringing them back into a little bit more prominence. They're back to even. Experience-wise, we're at about 2K lead, and a couple of these big items are going to start to be coming online. Jalopy, Sanjin Yasha just completed. The Tidehunter has his Blink Dagger on top of the mechanism at this point. Do you think that the Lifestealer is going to be doing enough in these team fights to sort of make it worth it, or would it be better to have another one of those supports possibly that could help have a bit more control?
At this point, Lifestealer is, I don't want to say like past his prime, because Lifestealer definitely is one of those heroes that can scale up and do a little bit more damage later on. But when you go for this like infest-based build with the Radiance and whatnot, you're really looking to take objectives with your team. I think I've seen Screen's team do it probably the best. Like they would just like straight up offlane the Lifestealer, and many teams just like wouldn't be able to handle that. Says once he gets inside of a creep, he joins his Chen and whatnot, and then he just bulldozes everything. And they have the Lone Druid for pushing Yellow Submarine, but everyone else kind of mediocre in the pushing department. So Lifestealer with this type of build is not really going to be at his best, and it's also, as we said before, kind of detracting away from the potential power of Nickro's Lone Druid. Since Radiance is already up on the team, I could probably see an argument for going for 2 Radiance, obvious. Like, I could definitely see that for the Lone Druid and the Lifestealer, since you just make them play separately.
Yeah, it feels like you would have to sort of... I mean, definitely it's not ideal. It means that their teamfight potential is significantly less effective. But at this point, it does sort of mean that they have to play this other style of Dota where the Lone Druid isn't doing the things that you would normally see him doing with keeping the lanes pushed out. Instead, that job falls to this Lifestealer who, you're up here in the top lane, right-clicking Kefka with a little Ancient Thunderhide. But that's putting you incredibly at risk right now. If they have a rotation over, he could easily get killed. And that's sort of the great part about having the Lone Druid is that you're able to escape because it's just the bear that can either be A, resummoned, or B, poofed back to you.
And having a Rubik with Blink Dagger and pretty regular access to some sort of mobility spell, whether Shikuchi or an orb from Puck, makes that even more dangerous. Like if the lizard or dragon or whatever pops, then Rage, you might Rage TP sometimes. London Conspiracy, they have to have Soul in there in the area to try to swap him out of that. But the chase power afterwards, like there's really going to be no way for Lifestealer to get out of it if his TP Rage is, for whatever reason, unsuccessful. So it's a risky line of play here for Fee, for sure. But hey, it got him quite a bit of cash. I mean, he's 633. His net worth not on top, but he has another 2,800 gold on top of the Radiant. So maybe this cute build has gotten him enough of an advantage so he can transition into a little bit more of a traditional Lifestealer type of item build.
Yeah, definitely, and that's kind of going to need to be the the thing that needs to happen for them to win this. I think eventually Abyssal probably is a pretty solid option, just because again I think that they're lacking a bit of the lockdown. You have a decent chunk of damage out of pretty much everybody, but it's relying a lot upon Puck to be able to hit big dream coils. It's relying upon the catch and the control that Savage Roar brings you. And I'm wondering eventually if we end up seeing Puck go for an Aghanim Scepter. I feel like that's a pretty solid late game item after Sheepstick, if that's what Puck's going to be going for, is he does already have that Ultimate Orb picked up.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, I think, underrated Aghanim's effects. Like, once you get hit with the Ags Puck coil, there's not much that you can do as any hero, let alone the heroes on London Conspiracy. And Savage Roar on top of that, if you can land it, that's an absolutely vicious combo. Like, that is just going to win you fights straight up. But while they're building towards those items, like, yeah, Artis does have his Desolator, but London Conspiracy are getting quite a bit of extra CC, or at least I would expect them to be building some extra CC on Baby Knight specifically. He's got a BKB, he's got his Force Staff, but this Mystic Staff should be turning into a Sheepstick. And then, you know, Weaver, Lifestealer, and Puck, of course, these heroes are going to be in for a little bit more trouble. So Yellow Submarine can't really afford to wait all day and hope that this item build is just going to magically work out, because of course it might just be completely mitigated by a well-timed Sheepstick.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't even mind it if you went Shivas. Either one is going to be great in this situation because, you know, the extra armor to keep him alive and also the slow coming out could be pretty effective. I mean, obviously, Sakuchi doesn't really care a whole heck of a lot about the slow, but any item build with that Mystic Staff at this stage, you know, just short of Octarine Core, as long as it's not that, I think we're pretty good to go, which I don't think it would ever be in a million years. But yeah, I think that London Conspiracy are in a really good position to set themselves up. I mean, Rubik has his Blink Dagger and an Aether Lens at this stage. He's incredibly farmed, but it's going to get punched in the face by this Ancient Granite Golem and have a great way to be able to solve that.
But Kefka is going to hit with the Fortune's End, straight TP. Artis has his Desolator, but he still wasn't doing jack to the Watermelon, and now the Granite Golem's going to pop. That's a nasty surprise inside, not a pinata I want to open, but Fee is just trying to book it. He doesn't even have a TP, and the swap was there regardless. That's the risk we're talking about, and that is not worth it.
That is less than ideal. That's not what needed to happen right there. Biver did actually end up trading it out, and he has Rage himself now, so Rubik going to be that much more less likely to go down to these types of shenanigans coming in from a Lifestealer. I'm just not sure if it's going to work out. They were looking so good for a little while there, and now it's just it's going to be a very difficult game from them from now on. We do have Biver possibly getting initiated on by Artis, but they're going to back out. And they actually do end up going for the Shivas on the OD, so survivability as well as a bit more wave clear.
The vast majority of Yellow Submarine's damage is physical. I mean, Lone Druid's dipped into the magical department a little bit with this Maelstrom. Mjolnir is soon to be up for him, but yeah, Shiva's Guard, my attack speed specifically versus the Lone Druid is just such a back-breaking effect. And Artis, like, his attack speed is, you know, pretty decent right now. He's got the power treads, but once that Shiva's aura kicks into gear with the active effect, then no one's really going to be doing any damage, because you have to deal with the Shivas, you have to deal with the Anchor Smash, you have to deal with Mechanism. There's just so much extra survivability on everyone from LC. Artis, ooh, he's deep behind enemy lines, finds a Courier. Can he get out of here, though?
They do end up having the swap. They end up breaking the Lincoln's jump forward, and he is definitely going to go down. You can squash that bug very quickly once you end up breaking that little shell, and he is going to fall. Oh, man. I think he needs to build some type of survivability at this point. Do you like Heart in this situation as sort of the next item for Weaver, or maybe a bit more maneuverability? What are your thoughts here?
It doesn't seem like the Butterfly type route is really going to be that great, but yeah, Heart seems like it might just be the best item for him if it really just is, you know, survivability placed at a premium. Since he just got lifted and just obliterated. BKB is also a huge pickup if the Weaver wants to go down that route. It's not going to solve all of his survivability problems, but I think it's definitely a good start. Kefka's going to jump one more time towards top lane, sitting in a Fireball, call down to Imp, however, is here. Reinforcements, deploys the Ravage, is still not dead. Fortune's End will kill him off, and now Amba using the promise on himself. Jalopy, though, with the Butterflies, just cleaning house. He's just going to walk
Savage
away
Roar.
from Nick Roll. Was that Savage Roar? Okay, yeah. I didn't see the effect. That's power of Lone Druid there, but still, bottom line, it is Puck for the Tide Hunter. That's not the worst trade in the world for either side, really, but it's Jalopy the big winner there as he just cleans house.
Yeah, that was a really good initiation there, and then follow up the Ravage. I thought for a second it wasn't going to end up working out, but with Jalopy coming in, he's starting to hit incredibly hard, having already picked up that Butterfly. And I also think that Ice Frog might have just introduced Savage Roar just to troll casters when the particle effects don't show up on the screen.
Where's it going?
Why
Get back
is he
in
doing
there,
that?
you coward.
But yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a rotation into the jungle. Just placed a ward down there by the Oracle and immediately gets taken out by this Gem Rubik. So already having answers before the questions were already there. They know what they need to do, and unfortunately don't quite take out this ward that's up on the high ground. So they're going to realize that Roshan is currently being taken. And with no Ravage, they could think about going in on this one. This might be a problem. Oh, they're not going to go for it.
It's a little bit too slow, too late. Aegis, Double Life, and Baby Knight. Now you don't want to fight. RT's playing some games with Solon, but he is spotted because of the gem. He's just going to assassinate Beaver straight up. No, with the Shikuchi, he's going to be fine. In the meantime, Jalopy's pushing everyone back. They got the lift up on the Weaver. He has time lapse. He's going to get it off. Full health mostly, but taking a lot of nuke damage regardless. Still on the run. There's still a gem here, and they have Dust just in case. Blink forward onto RT's. One more hit is all they need. Was that a miss? Oh, it doesn't matter. Got the kill.
Nicely
And the
done.
Aegis. That is a huge trade for London Conspiracy because now they're guaranteed at least a tier 2.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I totally thought that he was going to be dead the first time, but almost the Great Escape happened, wasn't going to be enough. And now you got London Conspiracy running down mid, as you talked about there. This is going to be a really scary situation. What don't they have currently? They're not going to have... Oh, they're going to be able to split push there with the Lone Druid, but... not a whole lot on deck. Puck doesn't quite have his sheep stick as of yet. He might be able to finish it before this next engagement. They're definitely going to be able to hold high ground, I would imagine. Well, Aegis is up. London Conspiracy are going for it.
The threat of Ravage here is insane for Yellow Submarine. Like, how do they play around Ravage? Just hope that the Rage is there. You know, Lifestealer, he's going to grab an AC, and that's certainly going to help versus this Gyrocopter, but you have to walk into the Ravage, and Solon is perfectly positioned to bail out Jalopy or Baby Knight. Neither of whom really need bailing out, but yeah, you never know. So, slow and steady. Lone Druid's trying to split push. That's not going to fly.
We go into the middle of it again. They do have the ability to break the TPs if they wanted to, but jump back. Artiz going forward. They do get to Dream Coil only onto one. Are they going to be able to do anything here? We do have the initiation coming in from Puck. He's going to be able to catch out and kill the Rubik, but I don't know if they find anybody else. Oh man, that is frustrating. Up in the top lane though, the whole time this is going on, we are going to see the Lone Druid ratting away. Wasn't able to get the tier 3 tower, but nothing more, and he is going to fall. Meanwhile, in the river, they're going to chase after the Vengeful Spirit, and he's going to go down also after the Desolator procs. So a couple of very suspect moves going on across the board. We end up losing a couple, but they take the mid melee barracks. London Conspiracy do, and don't lose anything besides a tier 3 tower. I'm pretty sure they're okay with that. Yeah, okay.
The Rubik's Gem is pretty huge at actually, you know, locking down, killing off this Weaver. I would imagine without it, they wouldn't have gotten as many kills as they have. So, yeah, it is a little bit more expensive there for London Conspiracy, but they take only melee racks damage up towards top, and most likely that's not going to matter in the long run. Should just regenerate. And they've taken the melee racks in mid themselves. So, yeah, losing the gem kind of hurts, but the benefits that they get in the next 5-10 minutes after that racks gain is probably going to mean that for London Conspiracy, it's still just fine, and they still have the Aegis on Baby Knight. I'm not sure if they can get value off of this, but I mean they do still have a couple of options with this hero.
Yeah, absolutely. And worth noting also that right now, Mr. Gyrocopter is currently sitting top of the net worth chart by almost 6,000 gold. You said most played hero. He currently is on them with 11 matches, 7-4 on this hero, and Jalopy just knows how to make him work. He is an absolute monster. You know, you sometimes see people, they pick Gyrocopter because they feel like, all right, this is just the hero that ends up working for anything, and then you see the Gyrocopters who don't really translate well into getting the farm that they need, and then they just sort of hit like a little wet towel, but this guy is just dealing a ton of damage and doesn't even have his MKB yet. So, you know, once that item starts coming on board also, it's going to be an absolute slaughter fest for anybody that stands within the flat cannon range.
I think the mark of a truly good Gyrocopter player is how you play when you're behind, because you know the hero has the potential for being able to do that with the Rocket Barrage and the Call Down and whatnot. And Jalopy, we didn't see it this game because he pretty much just had a free farm lane and, you know, time of any carry's life. But, you know, he also plays a pretty mean roaming gyrocopter if it actually is necessary. And, of course, this time it wasn't. So, hopefully, maybe we're going to see it. Maybe not hopefully, I don't know. Maybe we're going to see it in Game 2, as it shouldn't really be banned.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we continue to see the bear hit away. This is sort of one of their lone hopes at this point, the lone druid, who is now trying to build into the AC. I believe he is going to run into Baby Knight in the midst of everybody. This is a completely alone lone druid, though. Oh, this is going to be an issue. He's going to end up going down again. I do believe Nicorel pops a Savage Roar, but OD is just on him. Oh, they do end up getting one, but thought they were going to be able to get out of there. Unfortunately, not the case. And now Lifestealer also is in a heck of a lot of trouble. Swap him back. He's not going to be able to TP away. Doesn't even have one regardless. And now, oh, Yellow Submarine crumbling.
Man, last time, like, London Conspiracy got a pick off like that, they had to use, like, the Ravage and the Eclipse and, you know, some other tool. But this time they used absolutely nothing. Venture Spirit's not at 100%, but, you know, no one cares. Jalopy's going to get jumped over in mid, but he has Satanic. They can't kill a Satanic Gyrocopter. Sheepstick comes in a little bit too late, and Jalopy is just going to scare these two heroes off. London Conspiracy are looking for a bottom set of Raxes right now, and they have a 30-second window where they don't have to deal with the Druid. It's enough to put a little bit of damage into this tier 3, at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're going to be in a pretty good position. You take a look at the buyback status right now. Lifestealer does have it. Lone Druid does not. But you also don't want to have to buy back on the Lifestealer. He needs to transition into one of those late-game damage dealers because you're just getting too much out of everybody else. Lifestealer does buy back now. They're thinking about going in. Do they have enough damage to actually bring this hero down? Gyrocopter just doesn't feel like he's going to die again almost.
Yeah, and Baby Knight has the swap in backup. His BKB just comes back alive. They're going to jump right in. There's no damage output coming out from these heroes, though, and Jet already has to back off. Baby Knight will now get swapped out. RT's BKB going to dive in just a little bit more. He wants to go for Baby Knight with the BKB there. Baby Knight just not dying again. More staff away, and he's going to survive in the meantime. It's just Jalopy cleaning house in the backlines. Kills off the Lifestealer and the Puck both. RT's going to get ravaged. That's a dead Weaver right there, and Nicorel, and Amba. Who's next? Probably no one, because I don't think Yellow Submarine have enough heroes right now. They don't even get Baby Knight. That was a brutal defeat.
That was a last-second self-astral to save his life to the, like, incoming projectile from Weaver. What a freaking player this guy is. I loved watching him in StarCraft 2 back in the day and doing it now as well on the London Conspiracy team. But across the board, it just felt like they were able to sort of sustain through those initial problems that were coming through in the Lifestealer jungling, and really, really great play all around. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll be back in a second with Game 2 of London Conspiracy facing off against Yellow Submarine. Yet again, you can follow us at Lyrical Dota, at Michael Loris on Twitter. And any final thoughts before we move on to the Game 2 here?
Apply pressure to Baby Knight, especially when he's playing OD, or otherwise you're going to get wrecked.
All right, fair enough. Well, thank you guys again. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we will see you guys in just a second.